Hello, Jeff Cowan here. Thank you for watching and listening. Well, here we are again with my next installment of my new Hump Day messages that was filmed recently at the best training day ever that was presented down in Orlando earlier this year. This is the fourth installment. This has got a great message in it. So do what you've done in the past weeks in watching the first three messages, and that is to gather your people around, make sure they've got some notepads and some things to write with, and take very good notes, because this week's message will really help you in understanding who this new customer is and how to handle them so you can be as successful as you want to be. So with that, start watching, enjoy, and I'll see you next week. Have a great day.
They're smart. Okay, and by the way, the reason I'm numbering these, looks like you guys all know you've got a handout there that we've presented you that follows right along with this. They are smart. This is the smartest customer, and the whole time I've been in retail, I've never seen a customer as smart as what you're dealing with today, and the reason they are is because they have instant access to information. Instant access. Here's what I'm talking about. About a year ago, I was on a service drive in Iowa. And as I was standing out there, I was working with some rookie service advisors who were literally writing up some of their first customers. A customer walks in the door and simply says, "I'm here to get a 15,000-mile service performed on my truck. Do you do that here?" And the service advisor says, "I'm afraid, sir, that I've not had an opportunity to memorize everything that we carry because I just started, but if you'll follow me over here, I'll look it up. I'm sure that we do everything that you need." And the guy pulls out his cell phone out of his pocket, holds it up and says, "Well, I was waiting for somebody to help me out. I looked it up online, and General Motors says this is what you're supposed to do at 15,000 miles. Can you see if you do that here?" That's your customer. Smartest one I've ever seen. Smartest one. 7, they're prepared. You see, they Google. See, this is what I don't understand why the car industry hasn't picked this up. Your customers are no different than you and I. What do you do when you're getting ready to make a major purchase or any purchase? Shoot, and here's what I mean by any purchase. Our son was visiting over Christmas time. I walked downstairs, and he's Googling something on the computer, which means he's going to shop. And I said, "What are you looking for, Brandon?" And he says, "I'm Googling underwear." I said, "You're Googling underwear?" He says, "Yeah, I'm broke. I have to see if Kohl's, Target, or Walmart's got the best price." That's your customer. Okay? I mean, that's your customer. They've been on your website before they came in because they Googled you. They've looked around at the pictures that you post on there. They look at the services that you promote you do. And this is what's important about knowing that. It's a test. When they walk in the door, they want to know, do your people know as much as you told them on the website? And do they know more than that? That's what they're looking for. They're looking for you to impress them. Isn't that what you do? You go to Best Buy, you Google first, you find the TV, and you walk in to see how much the person knows about what it is they're showing you. And if they know more than you typically buy. Same thing going on here. Number 8, but they won't be laydowns. Now, you would think with everything I've said up to this point, with the recession happening and the people being concerned about getting back and forth to work and the importance of this vehicle, it's their freedom and everything else, you would think that these customers would come in and be laydowns. It is the easiest sell to make right now. It's easier to sell something on a service drive today than it certainly was 10 years ago, but they're not going to lay down. Okay? They're not going to lay down. And the reason they're not going to lay down is because they're looking for professionals that know the new customer and know how to handle them. Now, this is not much different than what happened before. Let me share a story with you about my grandpa, my mom's dad, Grandpa Cook. That quote you saw before I walked out, my mom saying you're going to go to hell and be broke when you get there, she said that. She did. She must have cut herself shaving that morning. I don't know. But anyway, he says, if you want to go into sales, he said, I think that's an admirable profession. He said, and I don't know much about it, but I will tell you this from the consumer side. Your job is to always make the customer feel like they're getting more than they're giving you. If you can do that, that's what's going to get them. You have to show the value. And he went on to tell me a story, and here's what he said. He said, Grandma and Grandpa were both born in 1900. 1917 rolls around, Grandpa goes into the Navy in World War I, becomes a welder in the Navy on ships. 1919, he gets out of the Navy, goes to work for the train yards in Beech Grove, Indiana as a welder, welds passenger train cars. Very high-paying job back then, still is today, but way, way over the top back then. Things are going great. 1920, he meets Grandma, marries her. 1922, they start having babies. 1924, they've got a picture of both my Grandma and Grandpa, each on their own Harleys. I mean, they really knew value. They really did, and they bought value. As a matter of fact, here's how much into value Grandma was. She's a smart lady. At 22, she had a rosebud tattooed right here on her. By the time she died at 1998, it had turned into a long stem rose. Now, that's a woman that knows how to get value. By the time 1927, well, if I'm going to go to hell, I might as well make fun of Grandma too, okay? So by the time 1927 rolls around, they've got 6 or 7 kids. 1928, they buy a small farm, put some cattle on it, some livestock. They start planting stuff and whatever. 1929 comes around, the stock market crashes, and Grandpa gets laid off immediately. Why? Nobody's riding trains. There's nothing to weld. And he told me during the next 4 years, the only thing that saved them from losing everything was the farm. They had enough to feed themselves, their kids, and sell the surplus off to the neighbors. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made it. 4 years after that, he gets hired back to the railroad, and everything turns around. But here's what he told me, and here's the point of the story. He said, prior to that 1929 stock market crash, I thought it was never going to end. I thought you got up, you went to work, you got a big paycheck. He said, but what I learned in 1929 is that somebody can make a mistake 2,000 miles away from you, make a mistake, and everything you've worked for can disappear overnight, just like that. Why is that relevant? Because in 2008, the same thing just happened. We're reliving it. In 2008, there were millions of people who lost everything they had. They lost their houses, lost it all, lost their businesses. And for everyone that did, there was 10 people right behind them. If somebody would have flipped them on the shoulder, they would have lost everything either. They would, as well, they would have been over the cliff too. So what's my point? When these customers come in, they need a professional salesperson that knows how to give a presentation based on value, based on benefits, and knows how to close deals. Here's the difference. Prior to 2008, a customer come in, you say, hey, I know you're here to get your tires rotated, but you also need a 15,000-mile service. 2 questions. If I do it, can I get it back by the end of the day in this order? Can I get it back by the end of the day, and how much? Today, that same customer come in, you make the same comment, it's time for a 15,000-mile service, and here's the barrage of questions your advisors are getting right now as you're sitting in this room. Why do I need that? What's included? Is it important? What happens if I don't do it? Can I put part of it off? What happens if I put part of it off? Will you negotiate with me on the price? That's this customer. Why? Because they realize that somebody can make a decision 2,000 miles away and everything they've worked for their whole life could disappear overnight. They're just not going to hand the money over. But if you know how to talk to them and handle them like a professional, they will.